I think golf is one of those games. It's such a personal sport.
Sure.
It's not like playing tennis where you can just, you know, if your cardio's decent and then you get a decent backswing.
Right.
You can volley with someone else and keep up. Golf is very intimidating. And I think what people have to realize is no matter what stage of golf you're at, it will always be hard. The pros can shank it. They're in the water every weekend. They have whiffed it too. So just remember, no matter where you're starting or what level you're at some point, even Tiger Woods has said, I fucking hate this.
Heather, welcome to the party. That's the name of the podcast. I don't even know if you knew that, but
I love
welcome to the party.
You know, girl, I'm a comic. You know, I love a pun.
I know we've been trying so hard to catch each other.
Yes.
I really appreciate you making the time. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. And you know, this is like the craziest time of year for me. And I'm sorry I look so disheveled. I was on a comedy cruise the last week. And then I spent Easter sitting in the Turks and Caicos airport sweating my balls off. So that's where I'm at.
Oh my gosh.
That's why we look rough.
No, you don't look rough. Hair mask and all, you look great. Okay, so we usually actually like to start off every pod with a little game, a little bit of foreplay, more
Love
puns. And your game is called Heather Said What? So I'm basically going to share a quote that you may or may not have said, and you're going to tell me if it's true or false.
That's deeply concerning, and I'm scared, but I'm ready to go.
Okay, great. Okay, here we go. All right, first one. The only time I feel truly alive is when I'm getting the last piece of cake at the party.
I feel like I probably said that.
Yeah, that was true. That was on your podcast. Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's my question. If the aliens come down, do they pay taxes?
I definitely said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It was TikTok. TikTok. Yep. Okay. I almost joined a cult once, but they didn't have brunch.
I feel like I probably said that.
That's a false, but I feel like you would say that.
If the cult didn't have good food, like if it was like shitty catering, I would not join. I'd be like, I'm so sorry, guys. I love the white comfy robes. The outfits are nice. I don't even mind the worshiping of, you know, whatever said older white gentleman, but I gotta get a good meal.
Not the white robes. Okay. Yeah. It's like, what cult are we joining?
I know. At this point, it could be any. It could be any.
Next one. There's 3 things in this world that get me excited. 1, the Lord. 2, a Mick Ultra. 3, free wings, in that order.
I'll tell you right now, that is absolutely something I said because that still gets me excited. I love God. I love a cold beer and I love some hot wings. Who doesn't?
We love it. I love that. There's nothing worse than when your thighs are rubbing together and you're stuck in a sand trap.
I don't think I said that, but I also agree with that sentiment.
You actually did say that in your podcast. It was the What's in the Bag series.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I will say there is nothing worse than just being hot and sweaty and having thigh chafe out on the green. There's nothing worse.
Literally. That's that. Okay. I mean, you know yourself pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I try to be self-aware.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. Heather, you're a golf girly.
Yeah.
Like through and through. I would love to hear your story in terms of how you got into golf. We got to start from the very basics first. Okay.
All right. So I started playing golf when I was a kid. Like, you know, I grew up that typical suburban lifestyle where your mom dropped you off at the club at 7 a.m. You did swim team first. And then after that, you either did golf or tennis. Okay. And my dad wanted my sister and I to play golf because he was like, you know, this big businessman. He's like, that's how you're going to close all your deals and get respect in this world is on the golf course. So I started playing competitive golf when I was like 7. I was junior club champion. I would do all these things and just play. And I loved it. And then I got to high school and it became competitive and I actually had to give a shit and it destroyed the game of golf for me. So I talk about it a lot in my last special Breadwinner about how, you know, like my dad wanted me to join the LPGA, wanted me to play in college. And I just wanted to be a song and dance girl. I loved musical theater. I loved comedy. And, you know, I think a lot of kids, once the sport became not fun anymore and super competitive, we were all like, I don't care about this that much. Like, it's supposed to be fun. Yeah, it's easy to win a club championship when you're 7 and there's like 3 other girls to compete with. And they're also like in wet bathing suits from swim team, you know, like we didn't give a shit. We knew we were getting chicken tenders and a grilled cheese at the end, and that was the motivation.
Yeah.
So I really gave up golf for like, I don't know, 15 years. I mean, I would go and hit balls, but I did not play. And then once I got married, my husband is just a golf fanatic. And I always, of course, followed golf, and I'm a fan of golfers, and I'm friends with a lot of golfers. And then I finally started getting back into it. You know, my swing is shit. I don't even have a handicap right now because I don't play enough to like accumulate one. Like I've just dedicated, I said this fall, I am going to start playing again and really get into it because I miss it. I miss the game. And I say that golf and comedy are very similar. It's a solo sport. If you have a bad night in comedy, or if you have a bad night or a bad day on the golf course, you will blame anybody but yourself. You know?
That's literally facts.
You'll
Spot
be like,
on.
oh, it was windy. The crowd was weird. I didn't like the course. I got stuck in the sand trap. In comedy, it's the same thing. The crowd was weird. I didn't like the lighting in the room. You'll blame anybody but the fact that you were just like having a shitty day, you know?
Where did you grow up playing golf?
In Atlanta.
Is that still where you are?
Yeah. And I still play at the club I grew up at. So
no way. Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to the Masters.
I went to the Masters. We go to all the tournaments.
Love
which
it.
I love. I love being a spectator and a follower of golf because I have an understanding of the game.
Yes.
And I understand how hard it is. When you see your friends succeed and win, it's like that much more bitter. It's bittersweet in a great way.
I was looking at your Masters photos. I feel like you brought this up to me briefly when we first met, but you're friends of Maria Fassi.
Yes, Maria Fassi is a dear friend of mine.
Yes.
And I adore her.
For those of you who are listening and don't know who Maria Fassi is, well, you're sleeping under a rock. And she's on the LPGA, and she also competed in the ANWA, which took place at Augusta 3-4 years ago, and she played phenomenally. But yes, would love to know how you guys met, how you guys know each other. You follow LPGA stuff too?
Yes. So she went to Arkansas. I went to Ole Miss. So we have a ton of mutual friends, sorority sisters. So we met through friends. And then as soon as I met Maria, I just absolutely fell in love with her. And then she started getting us involved with more LPGA events, which that's for me, like seeing women in golf, I come from that world. I understand the pressure, and championing them and just rooting for them is like the greatest joy of my life. Like I want to see people out at these tournaments rooting on these women.
I appreciate anyone who just understands the difficulty of golf, but let alone women's golf. It's really fucking hard. And girls don't have it easy. The prize money is not quite there. And I mean, that's so awesome that you're into it. And I know that your husband is also a really big fan of golf too.
Yeah,
and I know in your comedy show, you talk about being a golf widow. Can you please explain to the listeners, what does that even mean? What position are you in right now?
So a golf widow is anybody whose spouse might as well be dead because they play so much golf. Like I don't see him. He disappears in the woods. It's like every weekend is an episode of, Dateline or 2020. It's like, where is my husband? And I have to track him on the cell phone, and he's deep in the woods on the back nine. And then that's always an excuse. I didn't have cell phone service. We got stuck behind another group, and they just disappear for 12 hours. And it's so annoying.
That's so true. You can literally get away with anything. No signal, you're lost, you're gone for 9 hours, and somehow it's excusable, which I don't know why golf should ever take that long.
No, it shouldn't.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you want to hear about people getting in trouble for slow play on the tour, and I'm like, honey, slow play. You've never played behind my husband. He takes his sweet fucking time.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so bringing it back, where are you at with golf now? How frequently are you getting out there?
I am getting out there maybe once a month, which I'm not proud of.
Okay, not the worst.
Not the worst.
Not the worst.
Tuesday is usually like my day to catch my breath or come up for air. So I'm trying to get a lesson in. But I'll tell you what is jarring. Being a decent golfer growing up and having that kind of natural ability as a kid, then not touching a club for 15 years and then having to start from scratch is the most humbling, humiliating.
Golf is humbling. Yes, I get it.
And I thought I would just it would click. I'd be right back in it. And the amount of work I need to I have no drive. My short game's decent. I'm a great chipper, putter. I I'm decent there. But my God, it's like I lost the strength. I've got sciatica. I got to go to physical therapy. And I told myself this fall, I'm going to dedicate my days off to golf.
I love that for you. Now, I know that you talk about your dad quite a bit, and I know that he passed away a few years ago, and he was a huge influence in your life. And
Yeah.
in your Netflix special, Son I Never Had, I feel like it's like a love letter to him in many ways. How did he shape your love for the game?
My dad was just one of those guys who loved being a girl dad. And he would
Oh,
always tell me there's nothing you can't do. Like was my number one champion. And trust me, we butted heads tremendously when I said, hey, I'm going to quit sports and I'm going to go pursue comedy. Cause he's like, what are you doing? But,
right.
my dad was just smart. He told me how, I became the queen of networking. He told me how to go out there and socialize. And it's true. I tell women all the time, you want to meet a man or you want to like you play in their ball game, like go to the golf course.
Oh, yeah,
That's,
yeah.
beat them at their own game. If you can't beat them, join them. Like, what are we doing here? So he taught me a lot of life lessons and that. And there were just really great moments of, Sunday afternoons going to play the par three. And it was like
Oh,
our Sunday routine. We'd play the par three, the sun would be setting, we'd have dinner at the club, and it was just like our sweet little time together. And that
I
was just
love
so
that.
special. Yeah.
So I know we talked about a little bit ago, like the similarities between like golf and comedy. There's a lot of parallels. I thought Becky actually said something that I thought was really interesting, and she was like, you can keep doing the same thing, but it's gonna land differently each time. You're gonna keep hitting the same shot. You we can shit it one day,
Yeah.
you can hole it the next, and the same thing with your jokes and whatnot. Now in golf, you generally get a few minutes to reset, but in comedy, how do you handle it when the jokes aren't quite hitting the way you want it to?
Well, I feel like very similar to golf. Like you see John Rahm just want to take
And
a golf club and snap it in half.
yeah,
In
yeah.
comedy, oftentimes you call it out too. You're like, ooh, that one didn't land, or ooh, a little too sensitive for this audience. I think you kind of call it out. Just the same way golfers are. Like, when shit's not working. You have to pivot, or, you push through and then you get off stage and you're like, I got to reassess my life.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like I commend you guys just because I feel like it's such a vulnerable thing to do. Like, I can't even imagine being on stage and realizing, because you get direct feedback that, like,
Yeah.
oh, that joke did not land. Like, okay, like, F myself. Like, how do you
I
just
hear you on that.
remove? Yeah.
I hear you on that, but I got to be honest with you. And maybe I'm a sociopath, but I think other comics would agree.
Okay.
I can handle that kind of feedback. If you ask me, like, because that's the world that I understand. If you ask me to like file your taxes, I would be sweating. I would be vomiting. I'd be shaking in my boots. Like, being funny and silly is, even if it doesn't always go the way I want it to, is still rewarding. There are
Yeah.
other gigs that I just know I would not be good at. And most of them would be any sort of financial advisor. I'm like, we'll make more money. We'll figure it
Right,
out.
right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think like being a comedian, I think is like a really interesting career path. And when we were at Netflix as a joke, you and Becky were chatting, we all sat together and you were kind of talking about your show and the week you had to get ready
Yeah.
and talking about the material, some things that you needed to change pretty last second. Can you talk to me about your process when planning and creating your sets?
Yeah. So I may do it a little bit differently than other people. Like, I mean, obviously you start out and you have ideas and then you'll go run the show 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here and clubs, and you want to like work out those pieces. But because I come from a theater background with comedy, I look at the whole picture. So I don't start a new hour, even if things will change. Like if I start the tour, the hour may be totally different by the time I get to the end. But I start with what I think is an hour and that really 90 minutes, and then I edit from there. So I kind of do it a little bit backwards. And I write on the road, I write as I go. The creative process for me is terrifying, but it's the most fun part. Like I love to create new. And listen, it's one thing being on the road, but like the amount of content that we're all supposed to like crank out is kind of diabolical.
Oh, it's mentally, it's just debilitating.
It's still debilitating. I too have a podcast that I have to do every week.
Right.
And then I'm on the road and then you've got to come up with social media content. And there are days where I feel like I've gotten dumber. I'm like, I don't have a creative, thoughtful, like idea in my brain. Like like after the cruise, I was like, I can't form a sentence. I am overstimulated.
I mean, I get it, but that's why we have ChatGPT, because that shit saves lives.
I'll tell you what, there's a great comic, Mike Cannon, and he has a whole shtick where he asks like AI to write jokes, and they're so terrible. And I'm like, this is why I do feel job security that AI could never come for my job, because it's pretty bad. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, AI definitely can't swing a golf club for me. So we have that going for us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if the robots start teeing up, then we're fucked.
Then we're super fucked. Do you have any pre-show rituals or superstitions? Is that a thing?
I do. So, I partied on the cruise, but I'm usually pretty like sober when I'm performing. Honestly, at 38, I can't bounce back like I used to. But my pre-show ritual is I always do my own hair and makeup. Like that is my thing.
I love that.
It calms me down. I put on a very specific playlist. I listen to cocktail jazz on Spotify. And then I have like a pre-show playlist that has like, it's got Meg Thee Stallion, it's got Cardi, and the freaking Indigo Girls. Like it's just like my female empowerment playlist. And that's what I listen to right before I go out. I strap on my glitter suits. I put on my boots. I do a thing called leg lube where I pick lotion right before I go out and I really shine up the hams. I get in between the legs. Yeah. And then that's my pre-show leg lube is like what I do right before I go out on stage. And I say a prayer and then we let it rip.
And then after that, everything is good to go after you do all those steps. I love it. How about golf superstitions? Do you have any of that?
Well, if you have a good round, you don't change the juju that's going on in your bag. You don't change it. You play the same ball. If you had the same ball marker, you wear the same hat. Oh, for sure. You got to eat a peanut butter and jelly Uncrustable at the
same thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's very specific things that we all do because we don't want to mess up the vibe.
Right.
I'll tell you what, though. I like how the Japanese play golf, though. Just hear me out.
Okay.
How they sit down and have like a full omakase in between like
that's
rounds.
Right. Yes.
I don't like to play fast because I'm getting old. I would like if I could sit down for lunch, have a full meal, reset, and then go back out.
You know what? I'm down with that. Well, do you play in any pro-ams?
I don't, but I'm hoping to get into some.
Okay, we're going to have to get you into some because, I mean, it's not omakase, but you'll get a burger and a hot dog in between. You'll sit down. You may play a 6-hour round, but you get a meal in between. So
that's what I would like. Because the problem is, in my comedy world, it's go, 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 rush, rush, rush. And nowadays, I'm like, I want to sit at the turn. I want to sit down, have a white wine spritzer and a nice sandwich, and then let's get up and go again.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so we're going to have to get you into a pro-am.
Okay, great.
I'll tell my people.
Okay, good.
So talk about the grind of getting to where you are now. Like how many years were you doing comedy before it actually started to pay off?
Well, I first did stand-up in high school. And the first time I did stand-up, I performed at my high school prom where I like roasted the senior class. And so that was my first time like specifically doing stand-up. I did theater in college. Then I moved to New York and started doing improv and sketch because I really wanted to be on SNL. So I started in stand-up, kind of pivoted to more character work. And Becky and I are very similar where like my first tour, I opened for myself as somebody else, this real estate agent character that I used to have, Brenda Carlisle, who I need to bring back. So I've always kind of dabbled in like the character world and then stand-up and would kind of mix the two. I was doing it forever, but it wasn't until about I'd say 7 years ago that things really started to take off. a lot of what people are doing on TikTok now, I was doing on Instagram. And when Instagram stories first came out, that was like my bread and butter. They were 15
Love
seconds
that.
long. I knew how to write a 15-second joke. I knew exactly how to draw people in. So that's how people found me. And, you know, I give a lot of credit to people who come up through social media. It doesn't mean that you didn't have the training or you weren't grinding it out in other aspects. It was just like we all got smart and realized how to put it out there on a platform.
Right.
So, but it was, I mean, I was hustling for 12 years before anything really took off. And
Damn.
And I never had a backup plan. I never had a backup plan, much to my parents' dismay. I was just like, I will figure it out. I worked every service job. I worked as a nanny. I worked at a gym. I was a bartender, waitress, personal assistant, anything you can imagine. I did to fuel that dream of pursuing comedy.
How did your parents take it when you were like, you guys, this is what I'm going to do? Like, this is my career path.
My mom was like, follow your dreams. My dad, of course, you know, listen, I have a lot of empathy for parents. I'm not one myself, but I understand that your parents don't know what they're doing. They're humans too. They parent out of fear. My dad was super successful. He knew that I had the charisma to do whatever I wanted, but he didn't know anybody in the business. He, you know, like, so my dad was like, he wasn't discouraging, but he was very hesitant because he knew that I had potential to be successful. Listen, if I had to go do real estate, I would also crush it, you know?
Absolutely. People person.
Yeah. But I just knew that I wasn't ever going to take no for an answer and keep going. And listen, it is very bittersweet that all the success I've had, my dad hasn't been here to see it, but I know he also, I wouldn't be here without him. So it's kind of, you know, it's a double-edged sword. It's bittersweet, but that's why I try and just work my ass off. I love what I do. You know, there are hard days on the road. It is tough. You're exhausted. You feel like you're a shell of a human, or you feel like you're only as good as your last gig. But at the end of the day, I try never to complain, just quietly alone to myself as I scream into a pillow. But no, like, I feel blessed. I get to work with my best friends, other cool comedians, and I'm telling jokes for a living and bringing joy.
I mean, no, that's a good point. I mean, it's like you could sit at a cubicle all day, or you can choose your hard, and this is a pretty cool hard, you know. So
it's a pretty cool hard.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me. Have I read comments about myself on Reddit that make me want to jump off a roof? Yes. You know, there are other aspects. Not the Reddit. No. I swear to God, people on Reddit are
so
fucking miserable.
Yes.
I think to myself, or like when you open a nasty DM from somebody's psychotic, you're like, I have never, even before I had a blue check mark where people could follow me, I have never in my entire life been like, I want to send somebody a nasty message. Today's the day I have the energy.
Yeah, I don't get it. So you do read your comments at times?
Yes, and the comments are mostly positive, because I'll tell you what, women are actually lovely. It's when you get into the hidden DMs where you're like, oh God, this is crazy.
It got weird. It got sexual. I don't know where we're going with this. You know what I get angry with though, and I tell the guys when I see my buddies and my girlfriends who play professional sports, and the athletic fans that are so delusional, the way that they comment on stuff. That's why I was like, God, Mary, please win the Masters, just so I don't have to read these comments. Everybody up. Yes, literally.
It's like, you get out there and do it.
Exactly.
And these incel men who make comments on the golf, I'm like, honey, you couldn't hit a drive 50 yards if we put rollerblades on you. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, literal facts. Something about the golf, the men in the golf world that are golf fans are, I just don't feel like they're like this in other sports. It's very critical. It's very mean. I'm like, you know, you lose like 99% of the time, right? Like, this is not like a, you know, basketball where one team wins, one team, like, you have a very high chance of losing at all times, and you still choose to play golf.
No, and I tell them all the time, I'm like, I empathize and sympathize, but I truly idolize these guys because I don't know how they fucking do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not win for 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And then everybody's sliding in your DM. Oh, you've lost your touch. You've lost this. Like,
absolutely.
You're playing in a field of 100 and something players every fucking weekend.
The best.
There's only room for one winner. Like, what?
Yeah, no, literally, I get it. Coming back to your career, I wanted to ask, like, what has been your biggest pinch me moment, you'd say?
Yeah. I will say, obviously, because it's very fresh, being on the cruise, I cried every 15 minutes on that boat. Just
out of happiness?
Out of happiness
Oh,
of being like,
good.
I can't believe we've created this community. And that's the cool thing. You know, when you do art and you're creative, you never know how people interpret it, and to see people laughing and together,
Right.
that was the best feeling. I mean, obviously playing Radio City was one of the most amazing moments of my life. Like, I'm sitting in my office, I see my poster. It's like, you know, from Radio City, like sold out. Like, moments like that are truly pinch me moments. But I'm just grateful. I mean, I'm going to play Phoenix this weekend, and I'm so pumped to be back at the Orpheum and see all the girlies.
Yeah.
Every night that I get out on stage and people are in the audience and they know my jokes and they are in on it and they're there allowing me to do my job to entertain them, it's always a pinch me moment.
Oh, no, I mean, you've done a lot. You've had a couple specials now.
Yeah.
You've hosted, was it the Golden Globes? Is that right?
I did the red carpet.
The red carpet. I mean, that's
So,
still so awesome. I'd be so stressed doing something like that. I'm like, how do I
That's the
study for
hardest
this?
gig. And let me tell you what, hosting is the hardest job I've ever had. I could get up in front of six. Yeah, no, truly, it is.
Yes.
You have to know facts. You're on live television. You have a producer yelling in your ear. Whoever the actor or actress is, you have their publicist like yelling at somebody behind the scenes. You're like, what is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have an earpiece in that during that too?
Oh, I had an earpiece. I was out of my mind.
Oh my God. No, I appreciate you saying that, because I will say that in the hosting world, and we'll get into podcasting because it's like different but same, but it's like in the hosting world, when you have someone yelling in your ear and you're also trying to streamline a thought and you're trying to like smile and like look normal at the person you're talking to. And I'm like, I'm in front of fucking Ariana Grande. Do you really think I can handle you like streamlining me? So it's a whole different beast. You have to like be able to almost segregate your thoughts, and so it's different. But you did
and
it.
It's tough, but it's tough trying to be present and get the information out of the person.
Yeah.
Like you're also having that out of body moment where you're like, I am actually in the presence of Miss Ariana Grande.
Yes. Yes. No, I understand it. And then it's like people in the comments when they're critiquing you, they're also like, it doesn't really feel like you're listening to them. Like you're just trying to ask question to question. I'm like, yeah, bitch, because do you understand how many thoughts are in my brain? Like not all the time. Like, I can sit and listen.
Do you know that there's a producer saying you have 8 more questions that you have to get through or the network's going to fire you?
Yeah.
No one knows the other side of it.
Exactly.
But again, that is something where you want to say, get up here. You do it.
Absolutely.
You do it. I dare you.
That's right. So, okay, so we talked about podcasting. So I'm pretty new to the podcasting world, but you've actually had your podcast now, which is called Absolutely Not, for more than 5 years.
Yeah.
What would you say is an absolutely not moment that you've experienced in the last few weeks, or maybe on the course?
An absolutely not moment that I've had in the last couple weeks. This has nothing to do with golf. The Miami airport is a cesspool. It is 7th layer of hell. They're like, you can walk from every concourse. Let me tell you, I got off the cruise at 7 a.m. I was so hungover, I had the shakes. I'm about to board my flight to the Turks and Caicos, okay? There is an entire University of Miami fraternity getting on a flight to Nassau next to me.
Love that.
And I'm at the Starbucks. I look and I'm like, oh, there's a Chick-fil-A. There's a Chick-fil-A in the same terminal. I start walking. I'm Googling it. I'm like, where is this? It's a 35-minute walk in the same terminal. Miami Airport is the worst setup airport on the planet. I will die on that hill. And I think as somebody who I have my travel quirks, like because I'm on the road so much.
Right.
I need streamline. I need efficiency. I need good food options. I need there to be a plane train. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, no, I get that. I actually don't remember Miami Airport, but the
It's
long
awful.
walks when you have luggage is not fun. I will say I've had some pretty bad memories in Atlanta. Like
it's the
your
worst.
airport is so big, and I'm like, where is this tram? when do I get off? I have now no signal down here. I can't make it to my gate. I've definitely been stuck in Atlanta quite a few
I hear
times.
you. And I, as somebody who will eventually run for governor or mayor, I will do my best to streamline that. So I am taking notes.
So bringing it back to golf, I would love to ask you your thoughts on women's golf apparel. There's a lot of new brands coming out. I like to see your get ready with me's, but what are your thoughts? How do you feel about it?
Okay, this is what I'll say. And I don't want to kick myself in the foot because starting a golf apparel brand has been something that I have failed at in the last year. I have tried to pick it back up again.
Okay.
It is tough. The problem with all these apparel brands coming out is, one, they're not size inclusive. So they're making stuff that's cute. You can't actually wear it and play in it.
Right.
You can't wear it on the course, or it's made for a tiny woman. I mean, like, I love some of these brands and they'll send me stuff and I'm like, who is this made for? Somebody who's 5'1" and a 00? Like, I'm a tall, strapping woman who, when I bend over to pick up the ball, I don't want you to see my butthole. Like, what has happened here? So it's really hard meeting form, function, and style. It's either super farty, super old lady-like, or it just doesn't fit. So while I am excited and elated to see the enthusiasm behind women's apparel, it's clear that the guys are still doing it. And
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. No, feedback totally taken. I just think that actually you're like the first person that I've actually asked that it's like not necessarily in the golf world. And it's so interesting because it's like, yes, golf is growing. Yes, there's so many women's golf brands, but I'm like, are we now just turning it into like a runway show? But is it functional? Like, like there's a lot, we could do.
It's not functional.
Right.
And still I see some of the girls on tour and like, listen, Maria's got great sponsors. She's always in neon and dressed up because that's her personality. But some of these women, I'm like, what did we do? And listen, they're athletes. I'm sure the argument can be said they don't care what they look like, which good for them. But there are days where I'm like, ladies, what is happening? Like, how do we find a happy medium of putting on something where they feel like they can go do their job, but also like, it doesn't look like we're about to pick up garbage on the side of the road.
That's facts. We do need more like hybrid, like literally on and off the course gear, so you don't have like a separate closet for golf wear, and then you have like workout clothes, and then you have your everyday clothes. But so I understand it. No, I mean,
but you see the guys, like, it is a big deal when you go to the Masters what these guys are wearing from their sponsors.
For sure.
They have everything lined up. Their wives are showing you what they're wearing. It's a really big deal.
Yeah.
So why are we not also putting that enthusiasm behind the female athletes?
That's right, because we're still catching up. We're always a few years behind for the ladies.
Always.
We will get there. We will talk about it. No, I love your feedback, but we are already winding down. We do have one more fun little game for you.
Okay.
So before we say goodbye, we have this game. It's like a little combination of your podcast and mine, and I'm going to give you a golf situation. You're going to tell me if it's absolutely not or absolutely hot.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Let's do it.
All right. Golf carts with Bluetooth speakers.
Absolutely hot.
Okay.
But if you're playing only yacht rock, we have a problem.
Okay.
I got to hear something other than Steely Dan. Like I need variety.
Gotcha. Okay. Flamingo kicks.
Ooh. Absolutely hot. I don't mind them.
Okay.
What's your thought?
I think it depends. So I'm in the golf personality space. And so there are, I don't know what kind of flamingo kicks you see, but the flamingo kicks I see are a little like, like pose, kick, and you're like, what did that help your swing? Why the fuck are we doing that? Like, did your skirt fly up? Do we like it? Like, is that the goal? Like, I'm still like competitive in that way. Like, I wouldn't ever view myself that way. So I don't say absolutely hot in some occasions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Golfing in a swimsuit if it's hot out.
I'll tell you right now, that's an absolutely hot if it works for you, but I am always teetering on getting a yeast infection or a UTI, so I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
But I will tell you this. I love clubs, this new age of these different golf courses that allow you to just wear wherever the fuck you want. There is a time and place when you're at the country club, when you're in Augusta, but it's also nice to enjoy the game and be in a one piece or a Speedo and just go play. It's probably not my journey, but if you want to be out there and the course allows it, I say go for it.
Okay, we love it. Hitting on the cart girl.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I get canceled tomorrow, you bet your ass I will have that job. I will be the old cart girl. So absolutely hot. If you're married, well, here's the thing. The power is in the cart girls. They deal with these married guys all the time. If you're making money, do what you got to do.
Okay. All right. Men playing in white golf pants.
Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you.
I would rather them play in gray sweatpants and let's just call it what it is so we can see the outline of their dongs. But other than that, these white pants, I'm always worried something's gonna happen.
Thank you. I agree. And I'm like, sometimes they're a little see-through. Am I the only one that's seen that? It's also a level of confidence. Like, unless you're on the tour, I don't really recommend wearing the white pants, or if you got like a nice, legs and ass. Anyways, that's my take.
No, I'm right there with you. And then when they're out there and it's the middle of August, it's 10,000 degrees and you can just see the swamp ass.
It's
like,
not a good move. Absolutely. And especially in Atlanta. It's definitely not happening. Okay. An all-women's golf country club.
So I pitched that a while ago called the Trinity Club is what I want to call it because it's 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink because, we have 3 holes.
Yeah.
So we have 3 holes. So, and I said that we would only have 9 holes on the course.
Yeah.
And then you would do a lazy river in between the holes if you wanted to.
Okay. So what happened to the pitch?
The pitch is I haven't found funding yet, but we're working on it.
Okay, let me know. I'm joining. I think a lot of women talk about this, about having an all-women's golf country club, especially like that.
Yeah.
I think that would like pop off. Like, how great would that be?
If the boys can have their all-male clubs, then we should be able to have ours too.
Absolutely.
And then after a round, you go get a blowout. You go get a fabulous meal.
Yeah.
You get your nails done. You still pamper yourself. There's a childcare, like one and done.
Oh, I
Why
love
not?
that. And it's like on Wednesdays after 5 p.m., maybe men can play. It's
Maybe.
like we have like crazy rules. Okay.
But they're not allowed to speak. They're not allowed to say a single word, but they can play.
Love that. Okay, last one. Iron covers.
Oh my God. Absolutely not. I'm
Okay.
exhausted.
I know.
Really? You need an iron cover?
Right. I
What
know.
do you think?
No, I mean, are you going to put an iron cover on a hammer? I don't think so. That doesn't make any fucking sense. No, we're not doing that. It's a tool. Get over it. It's meant to be beat. That's it.
That's the thing. I am not very precious with my clubs. Like I obviously clean them and maintain them, but I'm also like you said, it's a tool. Why aren't we using this shit?
Exactly.
There's nothing better than seeing some guy who's like played 3 rounds of golf in his life and he's got every tchotchke and cover in his bag and it's bedazzled, but you're like, this guy can't even hit a 9-iron.
I'm like, you're taking too long. Stop it. Taking enough. Stop it. It's really annoying. Okay. Heather, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining the party. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on the interwebs at Heather K. McMahan on the TikToks, the Instagrams. I'm on tour right now.
That's right.
So get your tickets at Heather on Tour. And, you'll see me in the mean streets or maybe at the golf course.
I love it. Thank you so much, Heather.
Thanks, honey.